Today I want to speak about the second wave of black metal. Before some time I made another video about the first wave, and if we want to be clear, this second wave of black metal, this is the most influential style of black metal in the whole history of this genre inside metal. Now, when we speak about first wave, some words, we see bands like Venom from England, like Merciful Fate from Denmark, like Celtic Frost and Hellhammer from Switzerland. We also find Blasphemy from Canada, Von from United States, Tormentor from Hungary. Okay, these more or less are the more classical bands of the first wave. Maybe we can speak about Morbid from Sweden. This was also the band of Dead before he went to Mayhem. And also we can speak about some of the important thrash metal bands from Germany, for example, Sodom, their first work, Sodom, Destruction and Creator, and also from Brazil, some thrash metal bands from Brazil, for example, the first album of Sepultura, Morbid Visions, but not only Mystifier, Vulcano, and of course, Sarcophago. All these bands, they played their way for the first wave of black metal. But, maybe the band from the first wave that is the most influenced of them all is of course Bathory from Sweden. Gorthon, rest in peace. But in any case, Bathory, until now, we can say that they are even more close to the first wave and not to the second wave of black metal. So, when we speak about second wave of black metal, we speak about the beginning of the 90s. We speak about the true Norwegian black metal of these days. And yes, there were many scenes of the second wave of black metal, especially from Norway, afterwards from Sweden, and some bands from Finland, the Scandinavian black metal, but also a famous and very important scene from Greece, the Greek black metal scene. Also in these days we can find some bands from Japan, Shy for example, some bands from Belgium, okay, from here and there. Today, when we speak about today we have so many other also scenes. We have the France black metal scene, we have the Polish black metal scene, the American black metal scene, USBM, okay. But in these days, the most important scenes that came from Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, some of the bands from Finland, and let's say also from Greece. And for this reason, I will speak about these bands, the most important and the most influenced albums of these bands, in my opinion, and also favorite bands and albums in my opinion. And of course, maybe I forgot many albums and many bands. And I'm ready to listen also to your opinions. Now, let's start. So, if we speak about second wave of black metal and we start from Norway, of course, the first name that comes into our mind is Mayhem. And yes, Mayhem, in their first EP, Death Crash, they played something even more close to thrash death metal, and maybe we will put the Death Crash even closer to the first wave of black metal. But Mayhem in the second wave, when we speak about Mayhem in the second wave, I will speak here about two albums. First of all, a live album a famous live album in Leipzig from East Germany. They played there with Dead as their singer in the beginning of the 90s. In 26th of November 1990. And here is the album that came out in 1993, if I'm not sure. And also we can see about the cover art, how it was so influenced to the cover art also of the famous Dark Throne album Transylvanian Hunger. But together with this album, I have to speak about the first debut album of Mayhem. This is one of the most important Norwegian black metal albums in all time. And of course, I'm speaking about the Mysteries Dom Satanas. And here also, we speak about this period of time, the beginning of the 90s, in Norway, with all these problems with the murderers, the suicides, the burning of the churches, Satanism, inner cycles. Okay, but here I'm speaking about the music. And let's say that the person that is most important in these days is, of course, Euronymous of Mayhem. Okay. And now, afterwards, another very important band, Dark Throne. Dark Throne, in their first album, they played death metal. And let's say most of these bands in the beginning, they played before they went to black metal. They were inside death metal. First of all, after Mayhem, I will put Dark Throne with their second important album of 1992, A Blaze in the Northern Sky. This album, together with the first album of Burzum, they are the most important and famous first albums of the second wave of Norwegian black metal. And here also I could speak about the other album, Under the Funeral Moon, from the Unholy Trinity of Dark Throne, but I will speak also, of course, about Transylvanian Hunger of Dark Throne. Of course, some people will put also the fifth album, Panzerfaust. But if we speak about Dark Throne, and for me there are two important and favorite characters inside the black metal scene in general. One is Fenris from Dark Throne, and the second is Abbath from Immortal, or ex-Immortal today. So, if we speak about Fenris in these days, he made another project, side project, by the name Isengard. Until today, in these days, they made the first album of them was from songs also with death metal style. Some of these songs in the first album of them. Here we speak about their second album of 1995, Hostmorke. Okay, and also here, Fenris from Dark Throne. He brought some guys, also Satyr from Satyricon. In this album, he brought members of Dod Hemsgard and also from Arcturus. But it's a great album with some folkish also music inside it. Also in 2020, Fenris, he made a third new album of Isengard. And another suicide project of Fenris of Dark Throne, and also of Satyr, of Satyricon, and of the female singer of Third and Immortal, the atmospheric Norwegian metal band. We speak about the band Storm. Many people don't know this album and this band. They made only this album by the name Nordanvind. Great black folk metal album. Very close to what Fenris made in Isengard. Okay? But also here they are great. And some people that speak, for example, there are some purists and elitists inside the black metal scene of today, that they are very against the Danish American band Mercury of Amelie Bear, and they are very, very against her because they say she made even more folk and less black metal. But let's say this, me, I love very much Mercury, but they didn't started it. Also, Furnace made it. Also with Isengard and also with Storm. Also Ulver, they made it. Their second album, Ulver, they played folk classical music, even not metal at all. And now, if we speak about Burzum, and everybody knows what I think about Varg, about this guy and his crazy ideology. But here I'm speaking about his music. So, first of all, his first album by the name Burzum, and also the first EP by the name Aske, that this is so influenced to the second wave of black metal. But together with this, I can speak also about their his second album, then some Engan Var, and the most important albums. Of course, I love very much Philosophem, his fourth album. But here I will speak about the third album, Hivis Lisset Atar Os Let the Light Take Us. Okay. That also, this is the first album that it was so influenced to the DSBM, to the depressive suicidal black metal. This album and also the works and the albums of the band Bethlehem from Germany, that they also very influenced to the depressive suicidal black metal. Okay, and now I'm continue with Emperor, and also here I could speak about their first EPs, but here we'll speak about the first album. That from this first album they started the majestic black metal in the night side Eclipse. Great also album from Emperor. And another band, very important band, Satyricon. Okay, Satyricon. And many people prefer to speak about, for example, in Nemesis Divina, and I understand them. But here we'll speak about their first album by the name Dark Medieval Times. That also is very great. Another band that I love them very much, Immortal, and also here I could speak about the album Pure Holocaust, but here I will speak about their first album, for me one of the most famous and most important debut albums of black metal, of second wave of black metal from Norway, Diabolical Full Moon Mysticism. Another band, very famous band of these days, and I like them very much. I'm speaking about Hades. I don't know how to prefer it. It comes from the Greek word Hades, the underworld. Okay, and here we speak about Hades Almighty. Today they call themselves Hades Almighty, but in these days they were known only by the name Hades, because of the American thrash Christian metal band Hades that came, then they say, you took our name. Okay, so they changed it to Hades Almighty. And here I'm speaking about the album The Dawn of the Dying Sun. Great, epic Viking black metal album. And then if we speak about Viking black metal, Enslaved. Okay, of course, Enslaved afterwards they changed great their sound, but in these days when they played the black Viking metal. And here we'll speak about their second album, Frost. Great also album. And another also album from Norway, a band that is with 4 or 5 albums, and I'm speaking about Windir, if I prefer it well, and their album Arntor. The singer of the band, the leader of the band, he died inside from the snow inside the forests of Norway. Rest in peace. And we spoke before about Ulver, and so let's speak about also Ulver here. Ulver, they are so famous about their first 3 albums. Even in their second album, they played folk classical music and not metal. But here we'll speak about their first Ulver album, and also about the third and most famous black metal album of them, Madras Madrigal, that also is a great album from the Wolves of Norway. And I will continue here with some other bands from Norway. People will say, why you not put here Gorgoroth, or why you not put here Carpathian Forest? I like both of them, but I prefer to speak about 2 other bands that they are between the second wave and the third wave afterwards. Speaking first of all about Dimmu Borgir and their first work, For All Tid, that it was in Norway. They sang everything here in Norwegian. And in the same way about their second album, Stormblast. And another also band that they continue the way of the majestic black metal of Emperor together with Dimmu Borgir, and they'll speak about Old Man's Child. And yes, I like very much the Pagan Prosperity, but here we'll speak about their debut album of Old Man's Child, Born of the Flickering. And now, after all of this, here I will come to speak about some other bands. First of all, from Finland. And from Finland, from these days, I can speak about Beherit. Beherit and this first work of them, The Oath of the Black Blood. This is not exactly an album. This is a collection, okay? But Beherit, let's say, together with Blasphemy of Canada, together with Sarcophag of Brazil, they are the forefathers of the raw bestial war black metal. Another band from Belgium, they played something between black and thrash, and I'm speaking about Ancient Rites. Here we'll speak about their second album, Blasphemia Eternal. Another band also from Switzerland. In their first albums, they played even more black metal. They are even more close to the first wave of black metal. They have many influences from Celtic Frost and from Hellhammer, also from their country. Afterwards, they changed their style. I'm speaking about Samael. And here, their debut album, Worship Him. Great also album. I can say that this album is between the first wave and the second wave of black metal. And now another band that many people don't like them, and I understand this, but in their first album they were very great, and they speak about Great of Filth from England, and their album The Principle of Evil Made Flesh. And now I'm coming to the Swedish scene of black metal of the second wave. And yes, in Sweden, most of the bands that are even more melodic, even more close to the melodic death metal. Some of these bands, people prefer to call them as black and death metal or Black Death. I don't care about exactly about the name. Okay, first of all, Dissection. 3 albums of them, great albums, all of them. Of course, I like very much also Raincows, their third and last album. There they played even more melodic death. But here we'll speak about their second great album, Storm of the Light's Bane. And then continue with Marduk. And the first album that Legion was their singer this album, by the name Heaven Shall Burn When We Are Gathered. Also great album. And also the band from Germany, if not sure, Heaven Shall Burn, that they play something metalcore. They took the name from this album of Marduk. And then continue with Lord Belial, great Swedish black metal band of these days. Their first album, Kiss the Goat, was not so famous, but the second album, by the name Enter the Moonlight Gate, great album, great album. Another band, also very famous, Dark Funeral. And here I could speak about their first EP by the name Dark Funeral. Afterwards, it came out by the name Under the Sign. But here we speak about their first album, debut album, The Secrets of the Black Arts of Dark Funeral. And here 2 other albums from Sweden of these days, Sacramentum, and the album Far Away from the Sun. Okay, the man that he made the cover art of this album, also he made the cover art of In the Night Side Eclipse of Emperor. And another band, a little bit different from the others, speaking about Ophthalmia and their album Via Dolorosa. Also Legion of Marduk, he was their singer. Something special about this album is this, it came out a little bit after the murder of Euronymous by Varg, so they wrote in the album here, a big fuck off to Count Krishna, we will get you. Okay, and this is also the band of Legion of Marduk, of Thalamia. Legion against Varg. And now, last but not least, I will speak about the Greek black metal scene of these days, of the second wave of black metal. Here I will speak, first of all, I could also speak about Astarte, an all-female black metal band, but here we'll speak about Rotting Christ, first of all, the most famous Greek black metal band, and their first album, The Mighty Contract. Unfortunately, I don't have the original cover art. And from Rotting Christ, I like very much also Non Serviam and the Triarchy of the Last Lovers, also a dead poem, but here is the beginning. But together with Rotting Christ, we have to speak about Varathron. Varathron, also a great melodic black metal band, and the most from Ioannina, from Yanina, the city of North Greece. And Varathron, the most important work until now of them is Walpurgisnacht, a great album. Someone that likes Non Serviam or the Mighty Contract or the Triarchy of Lost Lovers of Rotting Christ, he has to find also this album of Varathron. Another also band that members of Rotting Christ and also members of Necromandia, they were inside. And speak about the band Thou Art Lord. Also, they don't have many works, but here I will bring their first demo of 1993. And the demo by the name The Cult of the Horned One. The Cult of the Horned One, also great demo. And of course, Necromandia. Now, here from Necromandia, I will bring two works. Their first album, Crossing the Fury Path, the first album of Necromandia. They were a band that they played with bass, okay? And their second and so important album with some jazz and saxophone influences. I'm speak about Scarlet Evil Witch in Black, okay, with the original also cover art. That it brings a little bit to Morbid Visions from Sepultura, but also a great black metal band from Greece. Together with this, and I'm finished here, I will speak about a band of today that they made their second album inside 2020, and unfortunately I can see that they are not so famous. Unfortunately, they came from Finland, and they play something between black metal, prog metal, progressive metal, and some influences of gothic metal. But they made it with a very good way. And this year they made their second album, and to speak about the Finnish band Antipope, and their second album by the name Apostle of the Infinity Joy. Great album of 2020, and unfortunately they're not so famous, so go and find them. So this is about the second wave of black metal, the second wave that was so important for the whole history of the genre of black metal of the 90s. So from Israel and from Jerusalem, stay metal and stay heavy.